Sometimes the run isn't about the fitness. Sometimes it's about survival.
Wow.
Joe Proctor isn't your average runner. He's not chasing podiums or Strava crowns. He's chasing something deeper. And after 23 years of what he calls the broken mental health route, he came back to running not to just rebuild his body, but to rebuild his mind, his spirit, and his family. And he didn't just run a marathon with a mouthful of water. He became Apache Joe. And he didn't just start nose breathing. He made it a lifestyle. He didn't just say no to the old version of himself. He left that man in the dust and told him to keep chasing. This is a conversation about pain, redemption, and the insane freedom of taking your life back, one breath, 1 mile, and one terrifyingly hot afternoon at a time. So buckle up, let's get ready, let's get honest. Cue that intro music.
Look out!
Welcome back to the Ostrich Running Podcast, the show that chases the why behind the miles. Today's guest, Joe Proctor, a husband, father of 3, and the kind of runner who will sprint a mile in 4 minutes and 49 seconds.
Wow.
You know, I can only dream of
that's
probably
crazy.
doing that. But just to show his kid what heart looks like. He's raced the 800s at Worlds and completed a sub 24 hour at Javelina 100. But his true finish line has been reclaiming his own health, identity, and spirit. Now, this is about nose breathing, food as medicine, and turning uphill suffering into a superpower. Welcome to the show, Joe. Please introduce yourself to our listeners, and thanks for joining us.
Let's go. That was an awesome introduction. I appreciate it. That's great. Yeah. So my name's Joe. My buddies or people that like to make fun of me call me Apache Joe. And I ran a little bit in high school and college, and then took some time off, decided to maybe try drinking and partying, and then I thought I was yeah, right. I was really good at it, and then I decided to try the whole depression / bipolar thing, and thought that was my life. And it was funny. I was always called Track Star Joe, and it was in my head. Yeah, that's who I was, right? I used to run fast. I used to be this. I used to be that. But now it all kind of changed. It was about 5 years ago. My wife changed our diet, and I didn't have a leg to stand on to sneak around and eat cereal and donuts and stuff. So I had to stick with it. And it was after 6 months of changing my diet, I realized maybe I don't want to take these head meds. And then it was after that, I thought maybe I'll try working out. And then it was maybe I'll start talking nicely to myself. And then my son came home from jiu-jitsu practice and said, my coach said, if I want to be better than others, I have to train harder than others. And I said, yeah, that sounds good. And he goes, will you go run with me? I thought, oh, man. And I didn't have a reason to say no, so I went for a run, and everything kind of changed after that.
Oh, my gosh, man. Wow.
What was that first run like coming back? Did it kill you?
It didn't kill me. It was weird because I had been working out a little bit. I was kind of healthy enough, but I didn't enjoy running. Even when I ran high school and college, it was like math homework. I was okay at it. I would get, coach thought I was good at it, but I hated it. I didn't enjoy it. And then it was when I was running with my son, it was a whole different look on it. And then I got weird in the nose breathing, and that changed everything.
Yeah. So we see a lot of the nose breathing, right? And we were discussing this before you hopped on here. Jarrett has his own experience with nose breathing. I explained that recently, probably in this last training block, I really started to focus more on nose breathing, right? And I'm noticing rate actually being a lot lower, especially in like a higher effort zone. I feel more controlled. Jarrett nose breathed for a different reason.
I was a soccer player, so I thought it looked weak to breathe out of your mouth, like to show that I'm tired. So I just made it a conscious decision to always breathe in through my nose.
So why do you nose breathe? What are the benefits for those who aren't really aware of nose breathing?
So I actually read a book called Breath by James Nestor, and it's all about nose breathing. And when I was reading it, one of the things that stuck out to me was Native American women, when they were holding their babies while their babies would sleep, they would forcefully close the baby's mouth when the baby was asleep, just to keep this baby breathing through its nose. I thought, whoa, right? Whoa. I don't care if there's any science behind it. I don't care if there's any studies, but I was like, they did that for a reason. I didn't know what it was, but they did that for a reason. So I bought one of these little cheap mouth guards that you see for people that use it for snoring, and I started running with it, and I tried to just nose breathe, and I found right around 1.5 to 2 miles, like the most intense like panic attack showed up, and like it was like, you need to stop. There would be times where I would be running and my hand would come up to my mouth and want to pull this mouth guard out.
Oh my gosh.
Just to give me that breath. But I found if you can push past that 1.5 miles, and I wasn't running it fast, but I kept running. As long as you kept running, and the mouth piece was good because I could bite down on it. We got scared. And as long as I kept doing it, right when I got past this 2 miles, 1.5 miles, right around there, all of a sudden I would get this rush of, holy cow, I'm a great father. Like, I'm a good husband. I'm a good person. My gosh. And it was like, I felt like I was Superman. Every now and then I look at my watch and I'd be like, I'm not even running that fast, but it didn't matter. Like I was flying. And so after I read this book and I started kind of getting into it, I looked into other cultures that used to nose breathe. And the first thing that I read was, and I grew up in a town called Apache Junction, and that's where my nickname came from, Apache Joe, right? Oh. It's not a rich city, so it was my rich buddies kind of making fun of me for that, right? But the first thing I looked into, and it said the Apache Indians used to run with water in their mouths, and they used to call themselves spirit runners. And and it was right when this, like, maybe I'm not an atheist. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I don't know what the hell I've been talking about, right? Maybe there's something bigger than me. And it was, I kept thinking, because I was very suicidal for 20 years, not to the point where I told people about it, but it wasn't just a daily thought. It was an hourly thought. I knew how I was going to check myself out forever. And once I got into this nose breathing, it was, everything changed. It was like, maybe you want to be here. And I thought, if you ever feel like you want to check yourself out, fill up a bathtub and hold yourself under it as long as you can, right? There's going to be a point where you're something inside you, whether it's your soul, whether it's the real you, whether it's your grandfather's spirit, I don't care. Something will say, get the hell out of that water and breathe, right? Like, you want to live. And that's what it feels like when I nose breathe. It's like, you get terrified, but if you can stick with it, whoa, there's something. Maybe there's something bigger than me. I don't know. Man.
So you mentioned where you were kind of like an atheist or agnostic, right? Somewhere along the lines. And you found this spiritual awakening, right? Through this running. What has that been like for you now? Kind of acknowledging something greater than ourselves. How did that feel for you?
I thought if I ever found something bigger, I thought it would be this epiphany of, now I know, right? Now I can see the path. But it's like, once this has happened, it's like, now I'm lost, but I'm safe. Like, I don't know the path, but I know what I believed before wasn't correct, and that's okay. Yeah. And it happened on a single run, and it's happened ever since, but it happened on a single run. I was supposed to meet up with a group run on a trail, and I went to the wrong location, and it was like minutes before and I was like, where is everyone? Like, I'm the only one here. And I looked at the ad and I was like, I'm in the wrong address. And I freaked out. I drove out of there because my wife, when she sent me off on that run, she goes, go get him, Joe. Like, she knew how much this meant to me. And I'm driving out of the parking lot. I'm like, tears in my eyes. I'm so pissed off. I'm punching my steering wheel like I'm a baby, right? And then all of a sudden I go, no, make this the best run of your life. And I turned around and I got my ass out and I started doing this crazy nose breathing and like sprinting thing. I would nose breathe for 60 seconds. And then at the end of 60 seconds, I would let everything out. And then I would hold my breath and I would sprint as far as I could. And as I would do that, things got really scary, like the tunnel, like scary. And as this would happen, I would open my mouth and say something. And the first time I said something, I blurred out, "You're a good man, Joe."
Oh, wow.
I lost it crying, right? And I do it again. And the next thing that comes out, I scream. And I'm in the trail by myself. I scream out, "Look at me, Dad." Right? That felt huge. Yeah. The third time I do it, I scream, "They're going to need a fucking helicopter to find my body when I'm done." I said, whoa, maybe back it down a bit, right? But it was there was something in that. There was something in there though, right?
Yeah. Oh my
maybe
gosh.
that's why Buddhists focus so much on breathing. I've never thought about like
the spiritual aspect of it.
Right.
There is something important in breath, right?
Yeah.
But I just, when I hear your story,
I never thought about it like this though. Yeah.
I feel, and I'm not going to go too much into it because other episodes I feel like I've beat that horse dry, but I struggled through addiction and depression and PTSD.
We love to hear it.
And I try to stay as open as I can about it. And, when I hear you, running and sprinting and the first thing that comes out, man, and I feel for you right there because that's like your soul was hurting and just found its way to like really heal and scream itself out. Right. And, you did it again and surprised yourself and, the tears and that emotional release. This is a main thing of why I continue to try to do these ultra distances. Right. I'm trying to unlock something. I'm a veteran with PTSD, with my substance abuse past, and I'm looking for a release at something. I need my body to feel some sort of like emotional release. So my thing is like, I'm looking to cry at the end of a very long race because I've been so emotionally detached, right? And I think that's part of our upbringing, right? We're taught to be strong men. Going into the military, you don't show emotion. You're strong, even though everything's falling apart around you at your home life in a physical war. You need to hold it together, right? And I learned so well to be this disconnected individual that this is the journey I'm on now. Take years of training my mind to disconnect and trying to rewire it to be connected again. And I'm trying to be mindful on these runs, be grateful that you're here, enjoy this view. You're out here suffering. You're doing this. You're able to be here and do what you're doing. And it'll come, I'm sure, at some point. But, when you said that story, it just...
Well, it's so nice to hear, too, that there's multiple ways to get there.
Yeah,
like, you found it through breathing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not... Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, I know in the little pre-interview questions, right? You mentioned that you do sweat lodges. What's that like? Explain that for anybody who's not aware of a sweat lodge, and what's that experience like, and how is that kind of incorporated in your healing through running as well?
So my very first sweat lodge, and I can't tell you too much of what goes on inside there, but I will say the very first sweat lodge, it was right when I'd done all these amazing things running. I felt I was on Team Joe, right? I was on my side, and where I'm standing with a group of men, and one guy goes, "Have you done this before?" And I said, "No, but I'm Apache Joe," and yabba dabba do, and I'm telling him all this good things about me, and like he stops me in dead center, and he goes, "I hope you like darkness." I was like, yeah, no, like I'm trying to be positive, right? I'm like, I like to do my lunch runs and I do this run out in the middle of the summer. And he stops me again. He goes, "You've never been this hot before." I'm like, "What are you doing right now, dude?" We go in there and I'm so compact. I'm holding my knees. There's guys next to me holding their knees. There's red rocks in front of me that are glowing because they're so hot. And I'm sitting on the far back of the sweat lodge, and there's the flap that I crawled into in front of me. And all of a sudden that flap closes. And I didn't know I could be so small. I didn't know that fucking place existed. And the whole time I was in there, I was just screaming, "Get me out." All of a sudden I thought, what medical condition can I make up to tell these men to get me the fuck out of here? Damn. And for a whole year, I would go for walks and think about that sweat lodge, and I would get choked up and start crying. I don't want to say it was traumatic, but I woke up in the middle of the night with sweats going, how the fuck am I supposed to bring my son to this? How am I supposed to let my son see me this small? And then after I got over that, I had a panic attack of, how the fuck am I supposed to walk my son through that?
Yeah.
A year later, I got invited to my second sweat lodge, and I knocked it out of the park. It was hotter than the first one. It was much more difficult, but I left my fear at the door. I felt like a boy no more, right? And I left feeling like a monster. I got invited back to my third one, and I got sat down on my ass again. So this sweat lodge thing is, this sweat lodge thing is, I thought it would be like running, where it would just kind of gradually get easier and easier.
You get to the next level and the next level, and you get better. And
this will continue to be difficult for me, and I think that's a good thing. And I'm looking forward to bring my son along when he'll be ready.
Wow, that's beautiful.
How long are you in there?
How long are you in there for?
Dude, so the first time I didn't know. I knew when I crawled in, it was daytime. And after 4 rounds, I crawled out and the moon was out. And it was like, I felt like I was a baby. So in the very first one, right before we got in, I'm like, we're walking around with our shirts off, right? I'm kind of built. I'm looking around. I'm in the best shape. I'm like, this is going to be easy, right? These boys can do it. I can do it. This guy that was probably 20 years younger than me goes, hey, man, if you get in there and it gets scary, don't be ashamed if you have to get low. And I'm like, right? Okay, thank you, right? Thank you so much. Yeah. And we get in there and I realize I'm going to die in this place. Like I'm not just scared. I'm going to die. And I have to get low. And while I'm down there, I hear the chanting, the prayer song, the everything. I hear the water every time. And it scares the shit out of me. I'm on the ground and I'm sucking in air like this, trying to get cold air. When I do deep inhales, it burns my mouth. Like it's, I can't describe how hot it is. While I'm down there, I hear the sweat of your brothers and Mother Earth will keep you safe. Motherfucker, I can't get more real than that. Like that, jeez Louise. Yeah.
Damn.
So is it like just a big room?
No, I'm sorry. It was a sweat. We were all in here like this. It was a traditional Native American sweat lodge. We're all cramped in there in the dirt. And like when I got done with that first round, I got up. My face is covered with mud, right? Like I looked like a baby. Wow. Like I looked like I was a mess, right? I will take that. The sweat of your brothers will keep you safe to my grave. Like, and I mean that not just with the guys in the lodge. I mean that with the guys on the trail. I mean that with the guys that's interviewing me, right? Like strong, healthy men that are on the same path will keep me safe.
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm sweating right now.
Yeah,
yeah. Here we go.
Would you ever try it, Nick?
I don't know what goes on in a sweat lodge. I have an uncle who's been to one, and much like yourself, he can't. Yes. He's never alluded to what happens in there, right? And yeah. I'm like, well, what's going on? So, as long as I can maintain, my sobriety, right? As long as there's nothing else that I need, I would definitely try it. I mean, have you noticed a change in your mental capability now when you do these long runs post sweat lodge? Like, are you able to handle more now on a run versus prior to that?
Yes. So my last mile test earlier this week, I'm chasing 2 guys they're running like 17, 16-minute 5Ks. They're very fast guys. They're age 30 to 35, right? So they're 10 to 5 years younger than me. So we're getting ready to run. These guys are putting on their spikes. I'm putting on my flats. I'm like, okay, this will be fun. But I bring my 13-year-old boy. For the first 3 laps, they're playing rabbit, and I'm chasing them. And for the first 3 laps, I'm saying, God, like these guys are going too fast. I feel winded. Like maybe if I pull a hammy, I can stop. Like the bitch version of me is screaming at me. On this last lap, all of a sudden it goes, I hear, this isn't as hot as a sweat lodge. And so I start pushing it, and then I hear, your baby's watching you, because my son was, running too. So it's like, this is the time. Like nothing. I would take a 100-mile race over a sweat lodge any day.
So these sweat lodges, okay. I noticed your performance at Javelina, right? And I got sick prior to that, but I still wanted to give it a shot, right? And that heat was gnarly. Yeah. That heat was gnarly at this last year. And
what month was that?
It was October. So it wasn't
October.
It was still like, and they say it gets hot, right? But that one was
the hottest. They said that was the hottest Javelina.
Well, I want to hear more about his hot runs too, like him running in the middle of the day, right?
A couple months before, there's a race at South Mountain in Arizona. It starts middle of July. I think it was July 7th, and it starts at 2 p.m. and it goes till 5.
What?
Dude, so when I ran, it was 117. It started at 115, and we got up to 117. Before they started, they said, all right, guys, this is not a race. This is a group run. If we run it like a race, there's a bunch of park rangers that are going to shut us down. But for the fastest mile, right? And they have these awards. So like, I got all fired up.
The fastest guy wins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm trying to chase guys, and I'm 3 miles in and realize I'm out of my element, right? Like I'm only 3 miles in and I'm getting dizzy. By mile 10, I call it quits. And all of a sudden I have to go sprinting to the bathrooms, and like I'm vomiting. Like I'm getting ready to, everything's coming out. But it was like, I did it. And it felt It didn't feel great at the time. It didn't feel good the day after. But afterwards, I looked at it, and anything I go at, I can say, it's not going to be that hard.
Have you ever thought about some other ultras? I think, I mean,
Badwater?
Obviously, Badwater is one that's nice and local, right? Like, have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I wanted to do Badwater. Yeah, Badwater would be it's 135, which is, it's longer.
Yeah,
it's longer. And then once you get into the super long distances, it feels more like you're planning a camping trip versus a run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of moving parts. Cocodona looks really fun to a point, but it seems like there's, So it's like playing, like I want the difficult part to be the training and the running, not the, did I pack this? Did I do that? Like I already go on vacation with my family. I don't need that crap anymore. So.
Didn't you share a picture of all the things you were about to pack before you went and did your 100?
Oh yeah. But even before Javelina, and that was like an easy, like you have the home base, right? The reason why I chose that one is because it's easier on my wife and my kids, easier, but they're out there waiting for me to come around in a loop in 100-degree weather, 90-degree weather, and it's tough on the kids, right? So I know for me to even comprehend a multi-day race, I'm just not ready to do that to my spouse and my kids.
I get
it. It's just for something that I want to complete. So if I'm going to do it, then I'm going to just go on my own with everything on my pack in a drop bag. Yeah.
And then even though what you're doing, and I get it too, even though what you're doing is for you, right? You're running to build you up. A better you is a better family, right? So even though you feel selfish, but it doesn't take that feeling away. You're like, geez, you still have to change your schedule for me. You still have to deal with my BS. So
Yep, exactly.
On Javelina, I was going to have a buddy of mine pace me for the last 20, and he fell out. And he said, what'd be cool is if your son paced you the last 20. He's 13. I said, oh, damn.
Yeah.
That would be cool. So my wife paced me from mile 60 to 80, which was the hard lap, which was that was the hardest loop. You got 5 loops. And on the fourth loop was mile 60 to 80. And I was beat. I didn't do good on fueling. I had a slice and a half of pizza, and all I wanted to do was get done. So it's in the middle of the night. I'm running, and I'm okay with being vulnerable in front of my wife, right?
Yeah.
Not in front of my boy. In front of my boy, I need to be Superman. So I'm out there with my wife, and I'm making sure I don't walk for more than 2 minutes. That's all I give myself, 2 minutes. And as I'm walking, I got to take a leak. So I stop and take a leak, and I start to fall back, and my wife has to like grab me, and she's like, you need to keep going. You can't stop. If you stop, you're going to fall over. And I would run and stop. And I kind of remember this, but I would just stop and do this. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I was trying to get more comfortable, but I was like, God damn it, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I look back on it, I'm doing the exact same thing a toddler does when they're reaching up to their parent.
For their mother to come save them.
Pick me up. And I would look at the sky and I'm like, I'm fucking done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? But mile 80 to 20 was the carrot on the stick, because all I could think about was, then I get to run with my baby. And
because you're at that point. Yeah, you're so far. It's so funny that I'm getting like flashbacks right now, because I had the flu when I started, right? My daughter gave me the flu. So the whole night before everything was coming out from both ends, right? But I trained for this for 9 months, and I'm like, I'm not letting this thing go. I want to do this. I dropped at mile 62, but I was in the same thing. I was telling Jarrett here, I was coming in around mile 60, and it's so funny. I stopped to pee too at the same thing, and I start falling out, and somebody stopped me from falling, like on the back of my head, and they're like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm okay. I just need to like get back over here." And they're like, "You're not okay." But yeah, and on my way in here, we record, and I saw my mom before I came over here to the studio to record, and I told her I was interviewing you, and she's like, "Is that the guy who ran with his son through?" And I was like, "Actually, yeah." And she's like, "I remember watching him come through the end of the race with his son," and so it was really cool. I'm so happy. Even watching that video brought me so much joy, and watching you run with your family is like amazing as I follow you on social media, right? Because my son is 7, my daughter's 6. And they get the bug, and he's like, "Can I do 6 miles with you?" I'm like, "Please do not do 6 miles with me. I'll run like a mile and a half with you." I think the most I've let him go is 3 miles. I don't know enough about it, but I'm like, let's just do a little distance right here and hang out and do it. But it's so cool to like share a distance with your kids, something joyous in it, right? And watching them push through, especially watching my son like hit these moments where he's like, I got a stitch, or he's like, I feel tired, and he pushes through, and I'm like,
my son had never run this far. My son had never run this far until that night. He'd done 13 miles, right? And when he did 13 miles, he got his ass kicked. But on this night, we're running through the desert, and we're at like miles 16 and a half. And he's behind me, and he goes, Dad, at this next aid station at mile 17, can we stop? My legs are really tired. I said, yeah, you bet. And we're coming into the aid station, and I'm at mile 97, and I'm starting to fall apart, but I don't want to let him know, right? I said, hey, son, we're going to push through this. And he goes, all right, let's go. Oh my God. And we pushed right through. But it was, it was 2 years before I was telling my buddy about something that my son Memphis did. He was copying me. He did something, I forget. And my buddy told me something that I repeat to myself every day. He goes, he doesn't want to be like you. He wants to be you. And then instantly I thought of my dad, right? Like, oh man, my dad was the coolest dad, right? I wanted to be him. I don't want to be like him. I want to be that MFer. And that's everything I do. My son, he mirrors me, right?
Yeah.
So is everyone in your family athletes? Like, are they all runners?
They are now. Yeah. So
thanks, Dad.
Yeah. After that, my son's running at state for the mile tomorrow, actually. So that's pretty exciting.
Oh man, good luck to him.
My wife was always a non-runner. Like I was never a runner, never run. That's what she always said. And then when I came back from that trail run, and I was like, she could tell I'd been crying. She's like, what the hell happened to you? I'm like, I think God spoke to me. And she's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And then she's like, well, I guess I got to try now. And then she's been doing ultras too. So yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit. You know, and I'm glad you brought up your wife, because that segues to another question that I had, right? And you know, it has to do with like the lifestyle, food in your family, right? You said your wife pushed you for that dietary change, right? What was it that, you know, finally convinced you? I know that you had reservations because like, you're not a doctor. You're not.
Nothing convinced me. It wasn't. She didn't convince me. She had all the good intentions. She had all the, hey, look, these people have gotten better. She had everything, right? But she didn't have a PhD. And I was dead set on listening to Western medicine. And I'm not trying to guide anyone away from anything, but my son was born and he had celiac, my youngest, right? So we couldn't have gluten in the house. So I had to get rid of cereal. I had to get rid of bread. I had to get rid of everything that I like to eat. And I couldn't bring it in the house for any other reason than I was weak. So I eventually I had to get rid of it. And then it was after 6 months, things started to change. Yeah, it was a very big change.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. And, you know, I know that that's a journey in itself, because one of our previous guests, who's a psychologist, and she had some injuries, and she was telling us she had to do a complete dietary change and cut out sugar. And she's like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Think about it. If you're addicted to heroin, how do you not do heroin, right? You remove people that do heroin. You remove heroin, right? Like if you're on a desert island where there's no heroin, you're not going to do it, right?
Right.
How do you do that with food? You eat 3 times a day.
Yeah.
You go out. You're like everyone eats. There's not a situation you're going to have.
There's a dealer at every corner. If you look at the sugar as the dealer, you know, at a gas station right here down the street, you know, the snacks in the house.
You can't get away.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great way to say it.
Yeah, it's a tough, you know, mind boggle, like, and it takes such dedication to even go through with that. What were the initial changes that were noticeable to you when you started doing this dietary shift? Like performance, mental?
I was a huge asshole. That was it. And that was a big one.
So if you want to cure your assholeness, you cut out sugar and bad food.
How much food changes you.
It does. It really does.
It's by far the biggest thing that I've done for my life. But I remember there would be times where I would get so resentful towards my wife. I would say, you know what? I'm just going to go to bed so I can dream about food, right? Like I was so pissed off all the time. Yeah, dude, I was a mean guy. And it wasn't until afterwards, it's like, that was poison. It was all poison. I've got a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch that's been in my trunk for 4 years. My buddy got it for me for a birthday gift. And I can't bring it into the house, right? It's still in my trunk in case there's an apocalypse, but I won't bring it in the house. Like it's poison. But
did he get it as a joke?
Because if the world's ending, I'm having this damn Cinnamon Toast Crunch one last time.
Did he get it as a joke, or he just, like, why did he get you Cinnamon Toast?
because he knew I loved Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That was my favorite cereal of all time. And it was right after I had made this change, and he had given it to me. And I said, yeah, okay.
You jerk.
Yeah.
Like
you said, drug dealers are everywhere.
Oh, you're sober? Let me buy you a drink to celebrate. Right? Yeah, okay.
Exactly, dude. Oh my God. That's a whole nother.
I've got this phrase, poison is poison. I know what's poison in my life, right? I know food, certain foods poison. I know alcohol for me is poison. I know porn or gambling or what video game, like anything that I can see is poison. I can't tell anyone else what's poison in their life because deep down they know what's poison in their life.
Yeah.
Right.
And was it similar to like, somebody going through, sobriety, right? Did you obviously, I think the anger and aggression was your withdrawal period. About how long did that last till you started to like, how long?
A good 6 months, of like, no, but that's okay. Think about it this way. I'd rather be on step 1 of the right path, right? Than day 10,000 of the wrong path. So even if it's the right path, like, and it's hard, that's okay. Us as runners know that it's the hard stuff that makes us better. But that doesn't mean that makes you want to do it. Like it's food for me. I was never a heavy guy. I could eat garbage my whole life and stay skinny. So when my wife would say, maybe it's the food, I'm like, I look in the mirror, like I'm doing fine, right? Like exactly. Yeah. Even though I constantly thought of checking myself out, even though I was constantly on a handful of head meds every day, it wasn't the food, right? Not one of my doctors said, hey, are you eating gluten? Not one of my doctors said, hey, are you running? Or, hey, are you surrounding yourself with positive people? Like, it was always, hey, we tried this combination of drugs. Have we tried that combination? Maybe we should try more. It was like,
which is so crazy because every time I go to the doctor or take my parents to the doctor, they never talk about food ever. Yeah. They never say, are you changing your diet? Are you walking? Like,
yeah. And you're in a process of trying to change your father's diet right now.
Yeah.
You know?
And trying to tell your mother, like, hey, try this different with their diet. They're like, it's not the food. Like, it's not the food, absolutely. But it is.
So I'm at the point where I won't take financial advice from the homeless, right? Right? I'm not going to take
true. Yeah.
I'm not going to take weight loss advice from someone that's overweight, and I'm not going to take health advice from someone that doesn't look like more of a monster than me, right? Like where I'm at right now, I've tried damn hard to stay. And if there's a man or woman that is softer than me saying, you know what you should do, I can say, what's that?
Exactly. It's wild. The whole food. So you brought up the medication, right? I'm not going to say I read because I'm not that smart. I'm listening to an audiobook
you read too.
of a book called Dopamine Nation, and it was recommended by one of our guests that we had. And it is crazy. I mean, like the society that we live in now, the path of least resistance, right? Hey, I feel sad. I feel angry. I feel this. What do I do? They're like, here, take this medication and you'll be okay. Yeah. And then you're like, well, now this medication is making me feel like really jacked up in the head. Like I can't sleep. Oh, now take this medication. Oh, take this medication. We're looking for this entire quick fix, and it's just killing us slowly. And like you mentioned, these doctors are not saying, well, what are you doing personally? What is it that you're eating? How are we addressing this? They're just so quick to prescribe something. And I can't recall the stats of what they were saying on here, but the statistics are staggering of how many people in America go to a doctor and leave with a prescription. It is insane.
I'm sure almost all of them.
Yeah.
But not a plan on how to change your diet and what you do on a daily basis.
Yeah. I saw something where a guy was interviewing psychologists coming out of an office going, out of all the people you've helped over your 20 years in this profession, how many have you cured? And they go, oh, well, that's not the way mental health works. Ha, 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 right? We don't cure people. And in my head, I said, well, I'm glad I don't believe that shit. Like, I'm done.
Yeah, right.
I'm right? Like, you can believe whatever you want. I'm fixed. I'm cured. There is no chemical imbalance. There might be stumbles on the way, but there's nothing wrong with me. I'm made to heal. My wife taught me that. I'm a strong dude.
Yeah, that's amazing, Joe. I mean, I love it.
You know what, Joe, you always talk about, you talked about that you run sometimes on an empty stomach. Could you talk more about that? Because we have this debate all the time. I love running on an empty stomach.
Yes.
And he loves to eat like crazy before a run.
Yeah, I got into intermittent fasting, and I'll on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday I'll fast, and I'll wake up. I won't eat. I'll have some black coffee, and that's it. And then at dinner, I'll eat a ton of food, and then I'll go to sleep, and I'll do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And on all my long runs, I'll have maybe a cup of coffee or some water. But it feels like when I'm out running, it almost feels like I have to get this run over with faster so I can get home and eat. And while I'm out on the trail, it feels like I'm hunting. It feels like I'm chasing down my meal. And it feels like I've got sharper teeth while I'm out there.
Yeah.
You're just connecting back to the, the inner animal that we were there to survive, right?
Oh, and I feel primal when I'm nose breathing. I'm
primal. Thank you. Yes, that is.
It really does do something.
Yeah, and the best part is my wife, when she comes with me, she's not as fast as me, but she gets to hear all the conversations of people on the trail going the opposite direction going, did you hear that guy growling at himself? Like, what was that guy?
Yeah.
Be careful, ma'am. There's a crazy man running ahead of you. Yeah, that's my husband.
Most of them will go, was that guy with you? She's like, yeah, I know. He's alive. He's fine. Like,
he's all right. And that's just Apache Joe.
Yeah. I with this water running in my mouth thing, I did the Lost Dutchman Marathon with a mouthful of water. Someone told me that Spartans used to run 10 miles with water in their mouth and they spit it out. And I thought, that's pretty crazy. And I thought, maybe I can do that. Maybe I'm tougher than a Spartan. So I did the Lost Dutchman Marathon with water in my mouth. And as I'm running, I don't have my glasses on and I have a mouthful of water going, right? And as I'm running, I see a couple that's off to the side. And I was like, oh my gosh. That's my childhood best friend's parents out there the marathon, right? I was like, no way. As I'm running by, I'm going to go, and I'm slapping my heart. I'm like, I love you. I'm all, and I'm doing stuff. Dude. And then I get closer and realize that's not them. I don't know who these people are.
Oh my God.
And I can't clear that up.
You're having a heart attack or something.
And I go, they're thinking, what is this dude talking about? I'm like, oh my God.
I would have thought you were running away from somebody. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
What do you need, sir?
Someone's chasing me.
Yeah, that's a core memory for that couple. They're definitely going to hear that. And you don't get too many core memories as an adult anymore. So good job. You're still out there creating memories for them. That's amazing.
Good, bad, right?
Yeah. So running with the mouthful of water.
The first thing I'm going to do when we leave this, and I'm going to go try this. Like just running with water in your mouth.
Yeah.
Careful. The first time I did, I almost waterboarded myself. I tried to blow my nose and half of it came out my nose. I started choking, like almost drowned first go at it.
Oh
so
my
careful.
God. Yeah.
I won't go as far.
You got to tell me how that goes. This guy's been trying to get me to do fasting. And I think I'm still in a state of food addiction, right? Because I want to say that there's levels. Like obviously, like my body craves certain things, and I'm eating so much. And he laughs at me. He's like, "How do you eat this?" And you're still like running all what you're doing. And I'm like, I would probably be a lot better if I didn't have this terrible diet. But unfortunately, for right now, like. It's so sad to say this. It's not affecting me, right? So I feel like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing it.
That you can see.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yep. So, and that's why I feel terrible saying that because I visually can't see it, but I know something's got to change at some point. It's just that addiction, right? I feel like I've already stopped enough things in my life from addiction, right? I'm like, let me just have one more thing, don't give it all away just yet. But a time is coming for a revamp of what I eat and, But
it's so crazy because so many people attribute things to age. Like, I'm getting these cramps because I'm getting older. I'm having these mental problems because I'm getting older. But really, it was just your diet the whole time. I changed my diet.
That's because that's what they're hearing from everyone else, right? Well, you're getting older, X, Y, and Z. Like, I now think that I'm probably in better shape than I was in my 20s only because now I have to diet. I might have been young in my 20s and I might have run, but when I ran in my 20s, I didn't run because that's what I wanted to do. I ran because coach told me to, or, when in my teens. And now it's like I run because I want to get stronger. So I don't feel I'm reliving my glory days. I feel like these are my glory days now.
Yeah, I agree with that because so I went back to school when our daughter was born, which was in my 30s. And school was a whole different meaning for me at that point, right? I had this desire to learn. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really enjoy learning. I really enjoy doing this. And that is also where I'm at in this running. Cause I started running around the time that I started going back to school, maybe a little about COVID time. Right. And my body is just enjoying learning. And I do feel like even from my military days, I joined at 17, but I feel in better shape now, mentally, physically, than I have ever been. I'm in the prime, and it feels like it's just getting better each and every time. Once I figure out the diet, then I'll probably be a lot better. Yeah, exactly. So you do the water in the mouth guard. You mentioned backwards treadmill walking and arm circles. What's up with that?
Yeah. So every day at work, I have about an hour lunch break, and I will walk backwards for 20 minutes. And as I walk backwards, and this sounds so silly, but like I'll do these silly arm circles, or I'll do these like arm flex things where I'll do these fake push-ups as I'm walking backwards. I've now gotten to the point where I got one of these stretchy, the stretch bands, and I'll put it on the armrest of the treadmill. And as I'm walking backwards, I'll just do these little curls. It's like, it feels like nothing, but it's 15, 20 minutes of it. Right. And it's like, and I get a lot of people that will reply and be like, yeah, right. Like you got upper bodied from a treadmill. I'm like, that's all I do. I haven't touched a weight in 2 years. All I do is push-ups, pull-ups. Yeah. All I do are push-ups, pull-ups, and these crazy, like these fake push-ups while I'm walking. I look like a psycho in the gym, right? Especially when I'm nosebleed. Like but afterwards, I look in the mirror.
So,
something's happening.
Who cares? Well, what people are thinking.
Absolutely.
He's getting it done. Yeah. Why do you walk backwards?
So when I first got into trail running a couple of years ago, as I would go downhill, I would start tiptoeing, right? I was not bombing down any hill. I would tiptoe. And one of my buddies said, walking backwards is one of the best things for you. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I've been doing that ever since. I still don't bomb down hills. Like I still tiptoe down. But while I was walking backwards, I thought, there's a lot of time I'm spending on here, and I'm not doing anything with my upper body. So I put together this whole silly, like, crazy arm flailing thing. So it seems to be working.
Yeah, kind of add a little bit more of a challenge and resistance. You're doing one set, you might as well just add a little
and
bit
so
more.
What I'll do is after I walk backwards, mostly what I'll do is 15 minutes, and then I'll turn around and run forwards for 5 minutes. But as I run forward, I'll do 15 seconds like this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, right? And so I won't do it on the trail because I'll eat crap. But while I'm on the treadmill, if I can make it to where my arms don't feel heavy, like here, or here, when I'm out on the trail, they feel like nothing. They feel so light because I'm so used to running and I'll run like this, right? Like it just feels good.
And everything follows, right? Like when I first started getting into it, it was just focusing on the running, and I lost focus on the rest of the body, and you don't realize like your core, your arms, all of this stuff supports every last bit of these long distance miles. And now I do 2 a days. I'll do runs and then weight training, right?
Yes.
And
heck yeah, man. That's great.
Yeah. It's just because you got to be tired when you're at some point. You really just need to get used to being tired and physically drained, right?
Yeah. So that's going to be the same thing when it comes to food. Once you get good at being able to withstand the food, you're going to get good at being hungry. You're going to be good at going to work and smelling your coworker bring in that plate of whatever. Like it used to piss me off at first because I don't eat at work. Now I get charged up when I smell everyone's junk food. It smells so good. Oh, wow. But not for me.
That's this guy. He's like, what do you have,
since I was
Nick?
young, I don't know, food hasn't never been a trigger for me.
Yeah.
So
you lucky SOB.
I know. This is the man of no trauma, of just I
eat once a day already. It's just like, that's what I do.
Gosh, you're already doing it.
Yeah.
Lucky man, right? I strive to be like the juice over here. So
what do you eat before a run?
Yeah.
So how do you fuel yourself?
Nothing. And this is my argument with him, right? We've had this debate, and I'm like, there's no way you can sustain yourself on a 100-mile run if you're not eating. Like, well, why would you do that? You're in a deficit.
One of the things I have found with this whole intermittent fasting and Part of it is getting a ton of sunlight, and it's getting your body into this like fat adapted thing. So what I do eat is a ton of ground beef. Most people would want to eat steak. I'm not very classy. I'm from Apache Junction, so I'll eat ground beef. But then I'll add a ton of butter into everything, or heavy cream in everything. My cup of coffee is probably a quarter butter and then a quarter heavy cream, and then the rest is coffee. Like it sounds disgusting, but I feel so fired up just eating ground beef and honey. Like it's great.
Yeah. So like, yeah, it sounds like you're kind of doing that bullet coffee version, right? Like it's something that's just like heavy, like fuel for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did at Javelina, I did use, there's these ketone drinks, and it was like, I would do one lap, and halfway through I would drink a ketone, and then 10 miles in I would do a Vespa. There's this Vespa drink, and I don't know if it pushes you into ketosis, but it does something. Yeah.
I wrote that down.
This is the most Nick has ever written down from an interview, by the way, of things to try.
Well, it's exactly like he says, right? He's like, I'm not going to take advice from somebody who's not doing what I want to achieve or accomplish, right? This man did a sub 24-hour Javelina 100, and I wanted to do that race. Didn't do it. So my ears are open. My mind is open. I'm writing everything down.
You're into learning, right? You're learning.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And that's the beautiful thing. And that's why I'm so grateful to have this podcast, because I learn from so many different people. It's just great to hear everybody's perspective, right? And I always go to the quote of, a smart man learns from his mistakes, a wise man learns from others, right? So I'm always trying to really gain wisdom through everybody around me. And that was the biggest thing that I'm grateful for. My mental shift was pride, right? Not being so prideful that I can't look around for somebody else for help, for an answer, a question, or a dialogue, right? I don't need to be this person who's shut off in my own world. I know it all. I can do this. This is how I got to do it. And I've lived this far. And obviously I lived this long with a ton of problems. So I wasn't doing something right. And I've gotten to a point where I'm just so open to everybody's experience around me, what they've gone through, and just taking these little, gold nuggets out of everything. And that's why I'm so grateful you're here.
It's the sweat of your brothers that will keep you safe, right? It's knowledge. It's like people helping.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. And beautiful quote. Yeah. And so, what's the biggest misconception that you think people have about someone like you, in the ultra scene? Like, do you feel like people are looking at you and like saying, this guy is this person, I don't even want to, mess with them? Like, what do you think that they have misconceived about you? But
me, for some reason, I can see why. Me running without a shirt in Arizona nonstop, like I get, well, you're going to get skin cancer, you're going to die. Like I get that a lot. And it's like, I get it. I had one lady saying, I get stuff cut out of my face because of all the sun that I get, right? And I use sunscreen. You need to start wearing sunscreen. I go, wait, you use sunscreen, you get stuff cut out of your face? She goes, yeah. I'm like, I don't use sunscreen. I have shit cut out of my face, right? Like, I'm supposed to take advice from you, and I'm not saying to not wear sunscreen because for me, I know the diet has a lot to do with if I'm going to get burnt or not.
That's what I was just thinking when you said that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I didn't just jump into the sun for 12 hours to begin with, right? I slowly started. I changed my diet. I feel very, very confident about it. And this sounds silly. I don't believe the sun is going to hurt me, which I know sounds like my beliefs have completely changed. I used to believe in science or Western medicine, right? And I'm not saying not to, but I didn't believe in myself.
I mean, okay, so obviously
they talk about that a lot, like the stress of something, believing something. Well, there's some truth to that.
I'm thinking like Western medicine, right? Obviously with that it became the advancement of a diagnosis of skin cancer, right? So when you look to the past, like you wouldn't be able to have that diagnosis, but how many Native Americans do you think had skin cancer when they were out there?
It's a good thing we weren't born before sunscreen was invented, or we'd all have to hide inside.
Exactly. So it's starting to connect some sort of dots that I really am looking to explore. Like, wow, is this diet thing really something that is producing tons of diseases and problems that we have out here. Because
100%.
I mean, how many Native Americans had skin cancer way back in the day?
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, it's wild. Yeah. So, and then you say I'm unstoppable, period. Right. That conviction, does that just come from this whole mental shift that you've had?
Yeah. But the funny thing is, even when I sent that to you, like, I'm unstoppable, I was like, careful, Joe. Like, like, believe it. And I sent it to you yesterday. I sprained my ankle. I haven't had a sprained ankle in, dude. Yeah. And it was like freaking know-it-all universe just sitting me back down on my ass.
Dude, it's so true. From religious individuals, people who acknowledge something of a greater existence out there. Right. And some religious friends that I have, there's a joke that say, you better not pray for patience, because all his God's going to give you is more things to test your patience, right?
That's
so,
right.
Oh, Joe, you're unstoppable. Let's see how unstoppable you are.
Yeah. But then I thought, I just got to come up with a good upper body workout or a good walking regimen or something, right? I can pivot.
You
I
still
can pivot.
can't stop me.
Yeah.
That's right.
You
Yeah.
can stop me
right.
from running, but you can't stop me from everything, right?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So, okay, all these changes, right, personally, within your family, and I know you mentioned this relationship in this example that you're trying to set for your kids, but how has that changed, that relationship changed with your kids since all of this has happened?
It's been great. So I remember it was probably about 2 years after I thought I'd fixed, or I shut this little voice inside of me up, right?
You patched the crack.
Yeah. And I had to do like a self-evaluation at work, and it pissed me off because I had to tell others why I was good. And it was triggering, right? And all of a sudden I got down this horrible part, and I'm in the gym locker room and I'm by myself, and I go, there was a potluck at work, and I go, you don't fucking deserve to eat. And when I said that, I heard my dad's voice say it, and I was like, ooh, that's probably not healthy. And all of a sudden I remember watching my dad working on the car from the house. He would be outside working on the car, and I remember he would drop a wrench, you stupid mutt, right? And he would like get pissed off. And I just thought, that's what men did when they got older. They made a mistake, they cursed themselves, and they moved on. So I said, I cannot keep doing that, right? So I completely changed the way I spoke to myself. It was last Christmas, maybe the Christmas before. We're opening presents, and my son, we're talking about talking good to each other, right? And good to ourselves. And my son Memphis goes, when when I stopped talking mean to myself was when you did. I thought, holy shit, like it's working.
He was watching that whole time.
Absolutely working. Yeah. He's not going to hear my voice come out of his mouth when he's pissed off at himself down the road. And that's great.
Yeah.
Breaking the cycle.
Breaking the cycle, right? We grew up in a household with an alcoholic father, right, who had substance abuse. I'm sure his father and his father's fathers was the same.
Yep.
And there was a time when my son, they were probably 6 months old. My son was probably 6 months old when I was like, dude, I got to change this. I can't continue this. Yeah. I can't end up like my dad did with him and the traumas and all this. And something has to end. And ending a cycle is an ultra marathon in its own self, in its own right. It is insane because it's ingrained in you, right? But I know at one point he was like, Dad, what is that? And he points to a beer, right? I'm like, man, that's crazy that this kid doesn't even know what this is.
How beautiful is that?
I was like,
well, you knew what it was.
Yeah, I knew. I was bringing my dad beers and shots.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I wanted to steal sips of his, right? Like it was, you want to be
bring him over,
you
want to be him. Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly. And all I knew was serving him alcohol in a tray or, always constantly all day, give me a beer, give me a beer, give me a beer, give me a beer. Yeah. So like as long as I can remember, I knew what it was. And for my son to sit there and ask that question, it was a full circle moment and kind of crazy and scary at the same time because I'm like, I need to also teach this kid what this stuff is, but where's the balance? Where's the balance of it all? Man. So do you have any message for, somebody out there who might be listening, who's struggling with depression, their identity, being bipolar, a diet issue? Do you have something that you want to maybe say? Cause I like to use this podcast as, kind of like a meeting, right? You never know what message somebody may need to be hearing. So if there's somebody out there suffering, is there something you'd like to say to them?
Yeah, actually what my wife has told me, and I think it's a big one, and I didn't believe it until I did, but I think we're all made to heal. Like, we're all meant to be okay. We're not broken. And if we are, we're meant to get better. And if you don't know where to start, reach out to me. I'm not selling anything. I love helping people in any way I can. Reach out to people you trust. Reach out to people that look like the person you want to look like. The people that are in good positions, a lot of them love helping. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I really appreciate that. So where can somebody find you on social media? Where they can reach out to you, any place that you prefer contact?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, apache.joe.2. I forgot the password to my first one. And then on Facebook, I think I'm just Apache Joe.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So if you're out there, you're struggling, Joe's out there. Again, myself here at Ostrich Running, if anybody is struggling with, an identity and mental health issue, and you just need to find individuals out there who could just point you in the right direction, we're all out here for you. I mean, this is a community of brother and sisterhood, of all of us together as humans. And I believe that, we should all be there for one another. And like I said, we're all learning from each other. And I learned a lot today from Joe, and I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. Do you have a final question?
Well, I have some bonus questions that I want to just ask.
Go for it. Yeah.
So, Joe, did you say that you actually like to run 400 instead of long distance?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I went to Worlds in, for the 800, but I love running 400. That's my favorite.
Why did you choose that? Because that's actually one that I hated. We have kind of the same upbringing where I had to run track. My dad was really good at track at the 100. So he was like, you should run track. But I hated it. All right.
If you're going from the 100 to 400, obviously the 400 sucks. The reason why I like the 400 is because I was good at the 800. Right? It's half as much work.
Those were the two most difficult runs for me. It's like, how do you train for this? Do I train as a sprinter? Do I train as long distance?
Coach always had us do both. Like, go hang out with the sprinters, and then we were done. Like, okay, go out the long distance, guys. Like, this is miserable. Yeah. So, but for Javelina, so when you guys do long runs, and while you're in the middle of it, all you do is simple math. How many more hours do I have left? How many more miles do I have left? And you break it down a million different ways. For Javelina, I thought, how many 400s do I have in this? There's 400 meters in 100
For someone who hated math in high school, you sure started doing a lot of math.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
This is the beauty of it is Jarrett is not a runner. He is a soccer player. And a close friend of mine, I wanted to bring him on this journey because I got tired of him calling me crazy all the time. Like, why are you doing these distances? I was like, just watch. I'm not even the craziest person out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, we got Apache Joe.
Yeah.
He's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So I really appreciate
I got
it.
One more.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, have you ever had an epiphany just from running? I know you did the, holding water in your mouth. But have you ever just been running and you ran so long or pushed yourself so much that you had an out-of-body experience? Anything like that? Because I know Nick's looking for.
Yeah. So that nose breathing for 60 seconds and then holding your breath and sprinting. I did. Okay. I did breath work. Breath work is where a bunch of hippies show up in this room and they lay down, they listen to music, and they hyperventilate, right? And that's it. a buddy of mine that I was pacing for a longer race, he came with me, right? And I said, let's do this breath work. And we're laying down, we're having this breath work experience. And then while I'm in breath work, I get out of my body. I disappear. And it's me. I'm a little yellow dot, and there's another yellow dot. And we're floating around on the Arizona Trail. We're out in the middle of the night, and we're floating around. It's amazing. I'm emotional, right? We get done with breath work, and we talk about how great it was. I don't say that me and this buddy were little balls of light out in the light, right? So when we're walking to the car, I'm getting ready to give him a hug, and he goes, "That was you with me out there in the night, right?" I was like, Whoa. Yeah, that was me. Like, holy shit. Yeah. It was, yeah. So maybe not running, but it was running related.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Those are the questions I had.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, go for it.
this podcast isn't even over, and I'm so proud that I got to be a part of this. I want to say thank you guys.
Oh man, thank you so much, man. Yeah, we're so grateful.
I'm not a runner, and I'm learning so much from you guys in this community. I love that.
It's a beautiful place to be, man. It's a beautiful place. Hang out for a couple minutes after. I'm going to wrap this up here. So that wraps up another episode of the Ostrich Running Podcast.
Holy crap.
I told you.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I'm sweating. I have my own sweat lodge here, man.
I take so many things back with me, and I'm not an ultra runner. Like, I'm gonna go try running with water in my mouth now. I'm gonna read some of these books. I'm going to look at life.
I know, man. It's a beautiful thing, Joe, and so grateful. I hope you guys join us on the next one, and grateful for everybody's support, listening in week after week. You can find us at ostrich.running.
I could have talked to him for like 3 more hours.
Yeah, and we might still.
Yeah, we have to get him back.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have Joe back on, and cue that outro music.
Okay.